12-year-old Miguel was defined by survival, not dreams. He lived with his father in a small coastal village in the Philippines, where mornings began before the sun touched the sea. Their home was a simple wooden shack with a rusted tin roof, just steps away from the shore. Every day, Miguel followed his father to the beach, carrying tangled fishing nets almost as big as his own body. His hands were small, but already rough from work that most boys his age never knew. Miguel's father, Ramon, was once a young man with a powerful singing voice and big dreams of performing on stage. But life had other plans. When Miguel's mother passed away, Ramon buried his dreams to become both mother and father. Music slowly faded into the background, replaced by responsibility and sacrifice. Still, he never let it disappear completely. In the evenings, after a long day selling fish at the market, Ramon would take out an old guitar with cracked wood and missing paint. It was the only thing left from his youth. As waves crashed nearby, father and son would sit outside their home, singing softly under the stars. Miguel learned to sing by listening, copying his father's emotion, his pain, his hope. His voice, pure and angelic, carried farther than either of them realized. Neighbors often stopped to listen in silence. Some whispered that the boy was special. But to Miguel, singing wasn't about fame. It was about those quiet moments with his father, where hunger, hardship, and loss disappeared, if only for a song. Neither of them knew it yet, but those humble nights by the sea were preparing them for a stage far beyond their imagination. The moment that changed everything came on an ordinary afternoon. Miguel and his father were performing at a small barrio fiesta, standing on a makeshift wooden stage decorated with faded streamers. Someone in the crowd recorded their duet on a cracked phone, just a father and son singing with raw emotion, unaware that the video would soon travel far beyond their village. Within days, the clip spread online. Comments poured in from strangers around the world, calling Miguel's voice heaven sent, and praising the powerful bond between father and son. Then came the message that felt impossible. A representative from Britain's Got Talent had seen the video and wanted them to audition. Ramon read the email again and again, hands shaking. London felt like another world, far, expensive, unreachable. They barely had enough money to survive, let alone fly across the globe. For a moment, Ramon considered saying no, afraid of giving his son false hope. But the village refused to let the dream die. Neighbors organized small fundraisers. Fishermen donated a portion of their earnings. A local teacher helped Miguel prepare his passport. Every coin collected carried belief, sacrifice, and love. For the first time, Miguel saw his father cry, not from hardship, but from hope. The day they boarded the plane was Miguel's first time leaving the Philippines. As the aircraft lifted into the sky, he pressed his face to the window, heart pounding. Ramon held his son close, whispering prayers. Fear followed them, fear of failure, fear of judgment, but stronger than fear was their promise to each other, no matter what happens, we sing together. When they finally arrived in London, the cold air shocked their skin. The towering buildings, flashing lights, and unfamiliar faces felt overwhelming. Backstage at the audition hall, surrounded by confident performers, Miguel's hands trembled. Ramon knelt in front of his son, looked him in the eyes, and said softly, "This stage is not bigger than our story." And with that, they walked toward destiny. The doors to the Britain's Got Talent stage slowly opened, and Miguel felt his heart race with every step forward. The lights were brighter than anything he had ever seen, and the theater felt impossibly huge. Thousands of eyes watched as the father and son stood at center stage, holding hands. Miguel could feel his palms sweating, but his father's grip was steady, a silent promise that he wasn't alone. Simon Cowell leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, wearing his familiar skeptical expression. He had seen thousands of singers, many with emotional backstories but little substance. "What's your name?" Simon asked. Ramon spoke softly, his voice shaking as he shared a brief piece of their story, about poverty, sacrifice, and singing by the sea. The audience listened quietly, unsure of what to expect. The music began with a simple guitar strum. Ramon sang the first verse alone. His voice wasn't perfect, but it was honest, weathered by years of hardship and unfulfilled dreams. The judges nodded politely. Then Miguel stepped forward. When Miguel opened his mouth, the air in the theater seemed to change. His voice was clear, powerful, and heartbreakingly pure. It soared effortlessly through the hall, silencing whispers and drawing gasps from the audience. Simon's posture shifted. One judge's hand flew to her mouth in disbelief. As the song continued, father and son blended in harmony, experience and innocence woven together. Miguel's confidence grew with every note. Fear melted away, replaced by something stronger, purpose. He wasn't just singing for judges or applause. He was singing for his father's sacrifices, for their village, for every dream that had been put aside. By the time the final note echoed into silence, the entire theater was frozen. No one moved, no one breathed, and in that moment, everyone knew, they were witnessing something extraordinary. The theater remained completely silent, then the audience erupted. Cheers thundered through the hall as people leapt to their feet, clapping and shouting Miguel's name. Confetti cannons stood still, but the energy in the room was explosive. Miguel's legs trembled as he looked up at his father, who was wiping tears from his eyes, overwhelmed by what they had just done together. Simon Cowell leaned forward, resting his hands on the desk, his expression no longer guarded or skeptical. He took a deep breath before speaking. "I've heard thousands of young singers," he said slowly, his voice unusually soft, "but what just happened on this stage was special." The camera caught him shaking his head in disbelief. One judge praised Miguel's voice as once in a generation. Another spoke about the powerful bond between father and son, calling their performance honest, pure, and unforgettable. Ramon tried to respond, but emotion choked his words. He placed his hand on Miguel's shoulder, silently telling him how proud he was. Simon paused again, letting the moment stretch. The crowd sensed something big was coming. Miguel looked confused, clutching his father's hand tighter. Then Simon stood up. "You didn't just sing a song," Simon said. "You told a story, and stories like yours deserve to be heard by the whole world." Without another word, Simon turned and slammed the golden buzzer. Golden confetti exploded from above, raining down like sunlight. Miguel gasped, covering his mouth in shock before collapsing into his father's arms. Ramon broke down completely, sobbing as he held his son. The audience screamed, judges rushed to the stage, and cameras flashed everywhere. In that golden storm, a fisherman's forgotten dream and a boy's hidden gift collided, changing their lives forever. Backstage felt unreal, as if time had slowed down. Miguel sat quietly, still dusted in gold confetti, his heart racing as everything sank in. His father knelt beside him, holding his face gently, repeating the words he had waited years to say. "You did it, Anik, you did it." For the first time, Ramon didn't feel like a man who had failed his dreams. He felt like a father who had fulfilled his greatest purpose. The judges visited them one by one, offering hugs and praise. They spoke not only about Miguel's extraordinary voice, but about the honesty of their performance, the way love, sacrifice, and hope flowed through every note. Producers whispered excitedly nearby, already talking about live shows and global audiences. Yet amid the noise, Miguel and Ramon shared a quiet moment, holding hands just as they did back home by the sea. News traveled fast. Within hours, their story reached the Philippines. In their small village, neighbors gathered around phones and televisions, cheering and crying as they watched golden confetti fall on a boy they had known since birth. Teachers paused classes. Fishermen stopped working. For a moment, the entire community felt lifted by Miguel's success. That night, alone in their hotel room, Ramon pulled out the same old guitar, the one with cracked wood and fading paint. Miguel smiled as they sang softly together. No stage, no audience, just father and son. Nothing had changed, and yet everything had. They knew challenges lay ahead, but one truth was clear: their journey was no longer just theirs. From a small Filipino village to the world's biggest stage, Miguel and his father had become a symbol of hope, proof that dreams, no matter how delayed, can still come true when carried by love.